Please make sure that you've written down the warm-up and please make sure that you had your second 8.3 stamp by Mean the Wonderful. I have a lot of things to talk to you about today, and not a lot of them are school. First of all, my wife's surgery has been scheduled for tomorrow. We thought for a while that it would be no big deal, then it would be later this month, then it would be in March because it's so not a big deal. And then we realized, well, actually, given these most recent results, we really want to do this ASAP. So I found out on Thursday that it's tomorrow. Didn't stop me from having a great weekend. I went fishing and stuff. My boy had his birthday Friday last week. And he chose for his birthday party to go fishing with his family. So we just went around the water. Then we went to Shoreline Park. It was such a sweet birthday. My boy is so amazing. But yeah, the surgery sitch. I'll give you a quick update. Here's the whole rundown for those of you that never got all the details. We found the lump in November, had a mammogram sometime in the late fall, early winter. The results showed a separate issue that she got biopsied, and we found out late December, early January that she has a mild form of breast cancer. But further imaging of the same breast showed a separate issue that we also had biopsied. And those results show that she actually has two cancers, same breast, independent. Then the imaging at one of the later visits showed that she had some unusual cellular activity in her lymphatic system, in her lymph nodes. And that's a big heads up in the cancer world because the lymphatic system is usually how cancer spreads to other parts of your body. It's called metastasis, where cancer shows up in a place that it wasn't before. And so a few weeks ago, they cut open my wife's upper chest near her armpit, and they reached in and removed lymph nodes. And upon pathology, they found a little bit of metastasis there. Not a whole lot, could be no big deal. You could all be carrying that. It's not necessarily a death sentence or anything, but it is hey, heads up, this might be on the run, so we probably want to start dealing. So tomorrow, they will remove my wife's breast. They will remove the remainder of her lymphatic tissues in that region. They'll put in a temporary placeholder implant because we don't know what's happening. Then by Monday of next week, a week from yesterday, we'll know the results of having picked through all of that tissue. And it's possible that they say, okay, we got everything, you're done. And we just do recovery, cosmetic follow-up sort of stuff, and we'll be out of the woods in a few months. But it's possible that based on those results, she might need radio and or chemo, which means tomorrow we start a 10 or 12 month process, or tomorrow we start a 14 to 16, 18 month process. She'll be in surgery for at least 5 hours and possibly as much as 9. Starting early in the morning, which is kind of no big deal, because she'll be knocked out. She might know what's going on. She'll just sleep like a baby. And I will be bored. I cannot sit still. I don't sit still. When I go to meetings, I take stuff to do because I can't not do things. And so I'm my wife and I are most nervous about me in the waiting room. It's not going to be pretty, but luckily I have a lot of experience in hospitals. Have you all heard all my list of injuries? So like I've been to hospitals a lot. So I kind of know what to expect. The surgery part is just like whatever. But I'm on full-time superhero mode from the time she recovers for at least a few days. I gotta stay with her in the hospital. My mom's in our house. She'll be in charge of household and child care stuff. But we don't usually hand that off. So my kids usually don't sleep with other adults, and we've never had a babysitter. Like, we don't do that. So I'm still going to be sort of managing the children from the hospital. I got to stay with my wife in the hospital, which sucks because I get to sleep like this, which is how I slept Sunday night and how I slept Monday night. Because I went to Mexico to go fishing yesterday. AKA I didn't really sleep the last few months. Okay. I'll be missing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week. Possibly and hopefully Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. Possibly a couple days in the week after. For about 14 days, our surgeons told my wife that she'll be fine and she's supposed to get up and walk around and stuff, but she really can't be on long duty. So that's where I can. I'm not too worried. It's all going to work out. My wife's going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. My children are going to be fine. Oh yeah, we're trying to buy a house. We just made an offer on a house yesterday. So that is no big deal. Escrow will be fine. And as far as it goes, you should know that you're going to be fine because I take my job seriously. I have professional integrity. I've planned everything. You will receive the same education content-wise that you would receive as if I were here. I need you to know what to expect in the academic plan. First, what questions do you have about cancer and personal life? Then we'll talk about your school future. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Are you not from Cedars House?
No, we looked at Cedar's house. I got to smell his bedroom. It has a very distinct and memorable odor. I think it's what they call teen spirit. But no, I don't think I'll be living in Cedar's house. It was a cool house. I really liked it. My wife wasn't as jazzed on it. Because of the timing of her recovery, she didn't want a fixer-upper, and we would have needed to change a lot of things. The house is fine, but for us to live into it, we would have to do some work on it, and she didn't want me to be focused on that. In the next few months, I kind of understand. So we have been looking for a house that was more ready to move into. I think we found one. We made an offer yesterday while I was in Mexico. That was fun. Trying to sign documents on an iPhone on a boat in Mexico. No, you couldn't. But downloading DocuSign through Mextel at $20 per megabyte.
T-Mobile is free.
Yeah, so I spent like $680 yesterday to send a signature of T-Mobile. And I got it. Who raised their hand? There was another hand. Yeah.
My mom might be a one.
Right. Her name? What's her first name?
Rhonda.
Rhonda? What? Does she wear like the rainbow blue scrubs, or does she do like crazy rainbow snow white seven dwarfs rainbow stuff? There's always that one kooky nurse. They'll be like, I got rainbow spots, and you're finding me. Yeah.
Why are you living?
We live in a small home that my parents purchased a long time ago. My dad saw the stock crash coming. The bubble that burst a while ago. he didn't have any idea. He's the dumbest person I know in terms of economics. He has been a retired millionaire repeatedly, and he's broke again. Like, he's an amazing man and a genius and a good father and a great grandfather and like a cool dude, but he's not good with money. I just mean to suggest he got lucky and like bought a little tiny house with money that literally would have disappeared 24 hours later. They like closed escrow, and the next day the stock market died, and all his money had been in stocks that he was paid as a severance package for a company he got fired from. So here you're fired, take this. He's like, oh, okay, I'm stock rich. And he's like, you know, the stock thing seems kind of dodgy. I think we should buy a house. And he does that, and then it's like stock market, and he would have lost it all. But he basically got a free house, and we live in it. But it's like 700 square feet. Like the house is not much bigger than this classroom. And we have 2 children, and they're huge. There's not a lot of outdoor space, and I have all my junk. I have so much junk. I have climbing gear, camping gear, fishing gear, diving gear, like 15 bicycles. Like, it's just such clutter crap. I have so much junk. I have my tools. Like, so we're paying for storage, and we're living in this little tiny house. There's always like kids on top of your dinner. It's horrible. So, what else? Yeah. So yeah, back to the academic part. I want everybody to know that I'm 100% committed to you all getting the best education that I can give you. So there have been some changes to the plan. For example, your solar house plans. Nothing changes about how you'll get credit. The only part that changes is I really don't know how to schedule that at the moment. I'd like to make an announcement by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday via substitute student teacher TAs and Facebook. Keep checking the board every day. My TAs will be putting up notes from me to you. Keep checking Facebook. If you're not a member, communicate with each other, please, when you notice something new on Facebook. Feel free to ask the grown-ups in the room. They will usually know the announcements at least. It's my hope that I can either set up a time on campus to meet you and do all of your resubmissions, or to just set something up off campus, like, hey guys, I gotta take the kids to the park, I'll be there from 3 to 5, I'll see you at Shoreline or something. I wanna offer you as many opportunities as I can, I just don't know how to plan right now. The next few days are honestly like, kind of unclear, and I really can't be focused on this. Yeah.
As far as aquaponics, do we just keep feeding the fish, water tests?
Right. Yep. And I think you'll hear about all that through the aquaponics group chat, and I'll probably communicate separately with Allie anyway, because she does athletic stuff with my daughter, so I already have to plan with her on Wednesdays. So I have a feeling that you'll just receive text message updates on all of that. And we did have a meeting lined up, didn't we, for this tomorrow? Maybe. Because somebody was supposed to do something. You were supposed to call somebody? God. How do you live with yourself?
Can I go right now?
You could. And wasn't somebody supposed to... Was Alyssa gonna...
Alyssa took over the list.
Of course she did. Okay. So I don't know, man. Stay tuned on the cell phone sitch about that. I'll write myself a reminder. You would not believe my lists right now. I have lists of lists of lists. Cool.
Wait, and tell me if
Charlie.
not sure if his name's Charlie.
Right. Didn't you write this down, bro?
Yeah. Don't tell them about the fish guys.
Okay. Are there any questions about the solar house plan? Stay tuned. There will be an announcement to follow about that plan. It's the same assignment. You'll have the same overall timeline. The best you could do is to get it ready as soon as possible. That's good advice. If you're done with it, I might even give you a place to store it on campus I'll try to find you a place to store it on campus so that we can just leave it for that one day when everybody's stuff in the file I can get to. That's the plan. Settled. Bring it to campus as soon as possible. I'll give you a place to store it. Consider it a couple of days to do all of your resubmissions, and you'll bring them here, and then I'll find the time to go through them all. You heard that plan? Does that sound credible to everybody? You have a couple of days free anyway. Call it the end of the week, by Monday. No, field trip. By Tuesday next week. I need them in that folder. Right? By Tuesday. I mean,
Yeah.
can you please clear out drawers period 1 through 5?
Yeah.
And put that whole stack over there where the car posters are. Next. I shall explain, do not worry. Next, I have completely and entirely straight up canceled the dissolved oxygen lab. See the plan? Pre-lab and post-lab are crossed off. How many of you already did the pre-lab? Ha ha. Academic high achieving doesn't pay, Emily. Let that be a lesson to you. Procrastinate.
I did not do that.
How many of you are glad you procrastinated? How many of you didn't even know you had an assignment tomorrow? What? Emily, hey. You see that ignorance pays? This is America. Didn't you know that? Your high achieving will get you nowhere. Nowhere. Next, there is a field trip coming. Next Monday, periods 1 through 5. We take a bus and take a tour of the Mission Creek watershed. We stop in like 5 or 6 different locations and we trace how a large, relatively healthy, robust watershed is affected by urbanization all the way out to the ocean, where we have lunch at the beach next to the pier. After lunch, because Lyle's have a field trip, right? After lunch, we go to the wastewater treatment facility where we hopefully get a tour. But we haven't confirmed, and we have a short timeline, and I'm not really sure if they're going to be able to accommodate us. That might just be. It's a really good field trip. There will be announcements to follow. You'll need comfortable shoes, BYO food and water, sun protection. We will have lunch at the beach. Periods 1 through 5. You're not excused 0, you're not excused 6. Get what?
We're back right after this period.
Yeah, we're back at the bell, so you should be unloading when the bell goes off and you get period 6. Like last one. You'll get a packet soon. It's not mandatory, but it's highly recommended. It's a nice trip, but it's stuff that's really relevant to the class. I only do field trips when they really show like big scale stuff that's important to the class. Wow. Okay, next. You'll be getting content from me via lecture videos. There was problems last time where it was just my head, like a still of my face and a speech. Hopefully that'll never happen again. It's never happened before. I have no idea what that was. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know how to do that. So. And so here's our plan. Otherwise, everything stays the same. Wednesday and Thursday, instead of dissolved lab prep, you'll have an in-class movie with study goals that's part of your study guide already, and some video lecturing by me. Friday, you'll have some video lecturing by me in a few little segments. It'll be like 4 or 5 little chunks. Monday, I hope to be here to do the field trip. Stand by. Tuesday, I will definitely be here to do the final, like, hey, everybody, how we doing, feel ready for the test and stuff. Wednesday, Thursday of next week, you'll have some video lecturing by me, and you'll have some prep and the stars and time to go over the previous exam. Everything goes according to plan all the way through until the beginning of unit 9. Except I've had to throw out the dissolved oxygen lab, which I feel kind of bad about, but we'll deal. I'm sorry, I have to answer a question to my wife really quickly. All right. Are there any questions about your plan, Unit 8, any of that? So there's a reason that I told you all of this in that particular order. I've been really touched by how everybody has been sensitive to what my family's going through, and it's been really great to feel like so many of you care about us, and that so many of you have asked or offered. My mom had this thing, my dad keeps talking about uncles, aunts, and mom anniversary, the surgery, whatever. Awesome, I love it. And likewise, a bunch of my grown-up friends, a bunch of my wife's colleagues, a bunch of my colleagues, everybody steps up, and it's really like, you know, I just learned about cancer. Like, it's really like everybody sort of, it brings out the best in all of our friends and everybody I talk to, and it's really encouraging and like really kind of inspiring, and like, you should fake it. But then you have cancer. I do love it. Funny thing is that when everybody wants to offer us help, it's not really stuff that's that helpful. And that's just, you know, it's nobody's fault. It's just like this box of rocks that I gotta drag. And people are like, yo, can I carry that box of rocks? Like, no, it's not a box of rocks. I gotta drag it. It's like this thing I gotta deal with, you know. And so, like, our friend Jill sent me an email last night, like, I can make the kids lunches. What do they like? And I'm like, the time it takes to answer this question and handle the logistics of picking up the lunches, I can just make my own kids' lunches. Thanks. You know, it's like my box of rocks. I gotta drag it. But there is one thing. My administrators, my boss, they've been really accommodating. I told them, like, for 2 weeks, I can't do work. They're like, okay, 2 weeks, no problem. You got no deadlines. We'll handle the subs. We'll keep an eye on your classroom. Don't worry about it. And I told my student teacher, like, hey, I might need some help with like my class. He's like, don't worry about it. Whatever you need, we'll make it work. Great. And I told my TAs, they're like, oh, yeah, you got it. It's all good. I told Trevor, the security guard, he was like a super homie and like a good friend of my family. We were neighbors for a while. And he loved my children, and they loved him. And he's like a really cool guy. He's like, okay, man, I'll check in on the class every day. I'll pound heads. If anybody has a problem, they'll have to go through me. I'm like, okay, buddy, thanks. But nobody wants that. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
The largest, most intimidating human being you've ever seen. We shake hands and it's like holding a ham. Oh god, yeah, I got that. Okay, thanks. And a lot of high school kids are like, oh, to babysit your kids and stuff. Like, we don't babysit. Like, we've never had a babysitter. Like, it's too weird. It's not the right time to do that. The only thing I need from all of you, and this time I'm actually asking, and this time it's personal, and like I really need something. I can't be thinking about whether school is happening when I'm gone. I want to leave today and believe that you're going to just let the school thing happen here. Like, you've been in my class for 5 months, you know exactly what I expect, you know precisely what you're supposed to do, and you understand that I'm not going to be available to really, like, deal with drama or to help you do the extra, like, if you can't keep track of the names at this point, like, I really got to just forget about it. Yeah, no, I mean, it's an example. So, I'm asking all of you for the next, like, couple of weeks here, like, if you need me, please reach out. I'm still working, I still care about you, I'm still here for you. If you need another grown-up, please reach out. If there's stuff that you can't work out without a grown-up, we're all here for you. But aside from that, like, please just show up to do the school thing and help me believe that it's gonna happen. Like, just, you know what you gotta do, just like, please, no drama, like, no silly, like, distractions from academia for the next couple of weeks, please. Can I expect that? I mean, theoretically, it's what we should expect all the time in school anyway, so for many of you, it's not an exception to the rule. And I know all of you can do it, and you probably all want to, like, move on with life and not think about this anymore. This isn't supposed to be your problem, so I think if you just, like, do school, everything will be good. Yeah? Thank you. Okay. Last call for any questions about the last 35 minutes. Anything you want. Biology lessons, how cancer works, how my house works, my fishing over the weekend, my son's birthday, what to expect in school. It was really slow Friday and Saturday. It was straight up bad fishing.
Were you in town?
No, I stayed local. That's part of the problem. The water was super murky. There was like a calico competition on Saturday, and like some of the best fishermen in Santa Barbara all like did this calico thing, and like it was like kind of bad calico fishing. You know, some guys got some good ones, but it was, everybody agrees it was pretty slow and kind of bad conditions too. I got that many calicos.
In 2 days?
No, on Saturday in like hours of fishing. That's pretty bad. I'm not a good calico fisherman, but usually like it's supposed to be there.
It was so foggy.
That too. I spent all day Saturday, harbor to harbor in the fog. Like when I would motor, I had to wipe all the condensation off my glasses the whole time because I couldn't see. Like soaked, like just like dripping water off my rain jacket. What else? There was like a couple moments that were super hot, broken up by a big chunk in the middle of nobody getting fish on the boat. It was a fully packed charter boat, like literally capacity. So like there was like rail to rail, like couldn't get in, trying to fish over people. I landed a yellowtail through like 9 tangles. So I'm like letting crew to chase my fish around the boat and bring them in. And at one point I get to the fluorocarbon part of my fishing line. I'm like, oh, I'm close, I see color. And I look ahead of me, and there was like 6 lines going down to mine in this clutter, all going back into the water, and the lure, like the hook hooked on my mono, not on my fluoro. So, you know, if you pull too fast, A, will burn on all those lines and snap off. B, that hook could have ravaged my. So these 2 deckhands like came in and started to undo the knot. And I'm fighting this fish right next to the boat. It's like flashing to the surface. I was like, oh my god, it's gonna break, it's gonna break. I was so nervous. It was after that big like 4-hour dry spell. Yeah, we got it. That was pretty nice. It was cool. When the fish were hitting, it was pretty exciting, dude. Yellowtail over the rails, like left and right. Most people didn't get any. A couple dudes got a lot. They're really good at it. Like people that fish yellowtail all the time, they got skills. And I learned a bunch. I got a couple, got some good bites. I learned a whole bunch. Really exciting. What else? Yeah. Nina, homie. Yeah. I'm so tired. Drove all night to get down there. Trying to sleep for like 3 hours in the parking lot, sitting up in the truck. Trying to sleep on the boat. It was awkward. Too many people couldn't sleep. Trying to sleep on the way home. Too many people couldn't sleep. I fell asleep against the wall and I was on the ocean. I was like this against the door, and it was like rocking. There was like a big swell coming in San Diego. And when the boat turns, all of a sudden, like the swell hits the broadside, and I was like, back to the rail, and I was like, oh. It was really close, man. I was like, that's not a good way to wake up. Like this. And you open your eyes and it's dark, and everything's all wet, and you're like literally teetering with my feet were off the ground. Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. I think I died a little.
Have you ever like hold in the water that's really cold, but I can't count that, but falling into the water somehow?
I've never had water contact while actively fishing that I didn't want to.
You ever remember being like jumping?
No, but I've had, I've dropped a fishing rod. A rod holder broke. No, by the time I noticed, I was like, oh, I should have jumped in, but it was like way back there, and I was driving my boat. And I've been tangled up while freediving, so I've had some unfortunate accidents that I obviously survived while freediving. That's as well. Right? All right. You will need your assignment 8.2. Had we been talking about dams last time? Does that sound right? I think we're around study goal number 22, and we have to do some classwork today, out of time. Can you please get me a field trip application packet from the principal office? Students, the last time that we were on this part of the study guide, had we already constructed a dam in our lecture? How to build a dam?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for asking. We are on number 21. It has 2 stars. There's a few reasons why wetlands. I think we did finish that. I'll go over them again just in case. There's a few reasons that wetlands are important. You've already heard, I think, all of it. Because we've talked about wetlands as a biome. We've talked about wetlands as a support for fisheries. We've talked about wetlands as a habitat restoration goal and artificial wetlands like bioswales. I think we got all that, right? And so, for study goal number 21, which is 2 stars, I wanted to verify the list of reasons, and I have 6 reasons. 1, they recharge groundwater. 2, they sponge effect. Do you remember that? They prevent flooding because they absorb flood water and then they moderate the flow. Sponge effect. Does anybody want me to repeat that, or did we already do that, or do you remember that or not? Like a sponge, if you've got a big hit of runoff, that can cause a big hit of runoff, or you can slow the runoff in the sponge, and then that can extend the flow of water as it drains over time from the sponge. Wetlands have a lot of biomass that absorbs and then later releases that water. So it's called a sponge effect. They slow flooding and they moderate flow. You should know more than the word sponge effect. You don't necessarily need to know the details, but biomass absorbs it and sediment absorbs it and it trickles out over time. Basically, it slows the drainage of runoff. Sponge. Can I answer anything else about that, or shall I move on? Number 3, wetlands purify water. They absorb nutrients and they break down chemical pollution. They also mechanically filter pollution. It's this. Does anybody remember what that word means? What?
Bioremediation.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's like the cleaning and treating of waste or like dirty water with microorganisms.
Yeah, is when living stuff solves a problem. In the most general word, bio, life, remedy, solution, fix.
Wait, so that's not that's bioaccumulation.
Correct. You're thinking bioaccumulation, that's right, or biomagnification maybe. I think the correct thing was biomagnification, how when you go up the food web the concentrations go up. But anyway, no, this is different. Bioremedy is when life fixes. So when biological processes fix a problem, like they break down pollution or they absorb nutrient levels. Yeah.
Is that like Adam that, or is that just
Ah, so A, it happens in nature, that's why wetlands. B, we can do human-induced bioremediation. Like there's these bacteria that are genetically modified to eat petroleum now. They're super expensive, but you can spread them out in very critical areas to heat up petroleum spills.
Why are they expensive?
It's a genetic modification, biological copywriting, and breeding of bacteria. The application's not easy. You have to like culture the food because you're like spraying them across the landscape. It don't last very long. Giant petri dishes, yeah. Also, I don't know why it's fun, so I'm guessing. Number 4, coastal wetlands provide a buffer against storms. We talked about that with Norland moving its pants down to flooding, the Indonesian tsunami. Number 5, there's the nursery effect for fish because of all the ecological activity. If you don't remember this from the bio, you might want to write it down, but I don't really care. Watch. What we know about wetlands physically is there a place where water has flooded land, wet land, for God's sake. So you got water that's usually shallow, so it's got a lot of sunlight, and it's got tons of nutrients because wetlands are a place where the water slows down. So you've got everything you need for an aquatic food web. Think about the high production levels, a lot of microbes, a rich food web, and that's a very good place with all that good coverage for the fishies to leave their babies. Nursery effect. Because of all the fishies, you get a lot of happy birds and happy mammals, and now you've got the ecological significance of wetlands. Highly productive in many levels of the food web. Would anyone like to ask me anything about why wetlands ecologically? Finally, number 6, they're a really good storage place for carbon. That's what all coal used to be. Coal used to be wetlands. if you take all those little plants, those little bits of organic material, and you bury them under sediment and you squeeze them, you make coal. So whoop, there it is. You have 6 reasons to know why wetlands are important, and now you can realize I brought it all up again because we're in the water unit. So we're talking about groundwater, surface water, water cycling, water supply. Anybody else wetlands? Yes?
How does it provide a buffer for storms?
So on the coast, wetlands stop surges. Wetlands on the coast would be things like a cypress swamp, or like a bayou, or like a mangrove swamp. All of those things are a buffer against storm surges. Remember that storms have like high winds, you've already got saturated water on the land side, plus you tend to have more ocean activity. So if you have a high tide with ocean activity and winds on a wet area, that's coastal flooding. But coastal wetlands keep that away from you. Mangroves work like a bunch of fingers sticking out of the water to slow the storm surge. Bayous work as like a bunch of speed bumps. Cypress likewise blocks the rain and slows the storm surge. Blocks the wind and slows the storm surge. Coastal protection. Yeah.
Are coastal wetlands the type that are most at risk?
Coastal wetlands are,
Type is most at risk.
I think it kind of depends where you are. So coastal wetlands are at risk of human development. And yeah, they're pretty much all gone because people love living on the coastline. But technically, prairie wetlands like this are also at risk because they make really good farm soil. Who asked? Sorry. The two that are most at risk are coastal and prairie wetlands,
Why-
grassland wetlands.
Why is prairie wetlands at risk?
Because look, nutrient-rich soils with plenty of sunlight and water and lots of ecological activity, which is a secret to good dirt, that's going to make some sweet farmland, and you can see that's exactly what happened in this photo. And that's exactly what happened all over this map. If we didn't make it into fancy, expensive waterfront cities, we made it into farms. California and what's the prairie state? Indiana? Illinois. Illinois? One of those. Whatever. The prairie state and California have lost more than 90% of their wetlands. These are biomes that are almost gone in the US. And the few bits that remain, they're like the last little gems in a really banged up pearl necklace for migrating species. Anybody else want to ask me something? Because I got to talk about dams and we're running low on time. Oh, good! We're really running low on time. I got 10 minutes. I hope I can do this. Number 22 is a 3-star study goal. I have this list of how dams, please look up, cause physical changes to the river, uphill and downhill of the dam, ecological impacts to the river, uphill and downhill of the dam, and impact to humans that live nearby, uphill and downhill of the dam. I will read you that list in a few minutes. That's why I told you to have an extra sheet of paper on Thursday. But before we do that, we got to build this dam. And I think it's kind of important that I explain how a dam is built so that you have a good mental image of how this works. If this isn't helpful, that's fine. People who live around dams understand what the dam is. The funny thing is, most of you being relatively urbanized, relatively sheltered children that just haven't had experience, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about when I say dam. So I want to show you really quickly. Seen in cross section, A dam clogs a river to build a reservoir, and you control the drainage of that reservoir. That water can flow for water supply, and it can flow to make electricity. Most dams do both. They make electricity when they supply water. Seen from above, you realize that the reservoir is a big old lake of water stopped by that lens-shaped dam with a little trickle-down canyon. And a bunch of plumbing to manage that water. Yeah,
I have an exact same picture.
nice. You went to Hoover Dam? I'll be your damn tour guide. If you have any damn questions. The key ingredient to building a dam is secret tunnels. And using secret tunnels, everybody burns out, don't they? Imagine that you're floating on the river, so you're coming down the river at me, and I'm fighting the current. This river with water flowing through it is not an easy place to build. You gotta get the water out of it. So where you are, I want to build a dam, but I can't because there's always water. What I do is, I drill a hole through the canyon, and then I tunnel through the canyon wall. And so I poke out behind my building site. It's called a diversion tunnel. You can see it in the pictures up there. In the upper left is the hole in the tunnel drilled in rock. In the bottom right is that same tunnel with concrete lining it. The reason I do that is I can drop some sand and rocks that raises the river a little bit into the tunnel, and as the water accelerates through the tunnel and around the stream, I've got a dry construction site. Does that make sense, everybody? Now that I have a dry construction site, well, I'm just dealing with a canyon. So gravity feed, I drop a bunch of dirt in there, no big deal. Add a bunch of concrete, more concrete, more concrete, more concrete. Add a little bit of plumbing, more plumbing, more plumbing, more plumbing. And then I build a little electricity generation at the bottom. Close the drains. Spend a few years building up capacity. Capture rainfall and runoff for a few years. And there you have it. The dam. The reservoir. The generators let the water out, spin the turbines, make electricity, kids can watch inappropriate internet content. Questions about how to build a dam? You may not need to write this down.
Wait, is that the diversion tunnel with all that water shooting out?
Those are actually, so these are two separate photos. This is from a diversion. These are from the turbines.
And the one that writes the turbines?
I don't know. This was just a separate photo.
Oh, that's not the video.
They're not the same. They're not the same site unless it's an accident. I googled one of them for the purpose of the overhead shot. I googled the other one for the purpose of dam outflow or something. I did image search and I overlaid. There's your dam. We have a lot of them. The Colorado River is the most heavily dammed river on Earth. It's one of the world's top 6 biggest, I believe. And it's the only river that can be entirely turned off by humans. We can catch every drop. We can make no water go to Mexico. And we have, and they sued us. So we had to release water, because obviously they deserve it. But water evaporates in all those reservoirs because it stands still near the surface where there's a lot of wind and sunlight. And the water evaporates, what's left behind in the water? Salt. So as you evaporate 50% of the water in each of the dams, you double the salinity in each of the dams. So by the time you get down to Mexico, we were giving them salt water in a freshwater river. So we are the only country on Earth to build a desal plant on a freshwater river. Colorado is famous. I'll explain later why. Now this is the part where you don't really need to write it down. I just want to talk really quickly. one thing that everybody must know is rivers have seasons. You can at the very least write that down. They have a flood season and a dry season. If you live up in the mountains, the rivers are all flooding when it's actively raining. Have any of you experienced that? Flood waters at a river when you're at elevation? It's during the rain. But of course, if you live in Colorado and the mountains are in Wyoming, it's going to take, 600 miles for that water to hit you. So the flood water in the Colorado is rainfall in Wyoming plus 2 months of travel, right? And in the Central Valley of California, flood water is a month of travel plus 2 months of living as snow plus a month of melting. So 4 months from the peak of precipitation to the peak of flow. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? How the peak flow, the flood water, depends how far you are from the source of the water in the mountains. Because most of the rain hits the mountains. Are we all clear on that fact? Likewise, there's a dry season when it's not raining, or when it's not raining, plus the delay for the water to run out. Right? Clear? Flow. Wet season on the Amazon. I went to that exact same spot during the dry season, and you could literally walk across in dry season. Maybe the water was kind of deep. Will somebody please remind me that we left off on the dam slideshow? And just so everybody knows, you're the period furthest behind. This conversation about the dam, I may need to wait to deliver this in person when I'm back soon. Please communicate with each other when I make announcements so everybody knows what's going on. Bye-bye.